Greetings. Greetings. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is day 4 of Ignite Your Soul Connection. And we've been talking about let's save our family all week long. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're saving our family. And tonight we continue that conversation with one of our amazing Master Force coaches who happens to be a young father and a committed husband and actually have a heart for his community as well. But he knows how to focus on that family first. But I want to just really remind everyone that we've been doing this particular segment this since 2011, and we've been bringing it to our community at no cost to you except for to listen. So if you want to look at the past episodes, we do have a YouTube channel called Ignite Your Soul Connection, so you can go back and find it. And it's a wealth of knowledge inside of spirituality, metaphysics, just really looking at your belief systems and empowering you to change your life for the better and to also make a difference for our children. Our hearts just really go out for our children, okay? And this week we started off our conversation on Sunday, speaking about the balance of male and female energy. And then on Monday, we had a conversation about nutrition is weaponized. And then yesterday, we talked about how to, what it means to make goals matter in your family. So we're continuing the conversation with having our families like just really win at everything. So tonight we're talking about the power of family time. So we're gonna bring in Master Force Coach Robert Nickson and let him give us some ideas about who he is and what he's doing and what he's up to. And can you unmute yourself there, Robert, and give us a little bit of an introduction of yourself? And there you go.
All right. Good evening,
Oh,
everybody. How you doing?
all right.
All
Thank you
right.
for taking time. This is really special for me to have you here because I know that your time is really allocated.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to be here. I appreciate you doing that for me too.
Yes.
Yes. So I'll
Okay.
give a brief little introduction about myself. My name is Robert, Master Force Coach Robert Nickson. I've currently been with Master Force since 2018. And I joined for several reasons, but mainly it was more so for myself. You know, uh, wanted to help develop myself where I can be a better father to my children. So I had to learn some tools, and it provided me the tools that were necessary that I was able to give to my children as well as the children that I serve. I coach wrestling, so I use a lot of what I've learned through Master Force to help out those children. And family time, picking this topic is just so crucial, and just I was excited, once I found out that we were doing this again. So like, it's the perfect topic for me. I took the time to learn these tools as well as others, outside of Master Force to help me become the best father I can possibly be. And I'm excited this evening to share some of those things with you all.
Yeah, that is wonderful. And I just want you to tell us not the names, but what are the ages of your children?
Ages, my youngest being 3, 5, 7, and 11.
3, 5, 7, and 11. Oh my goodness!
Yeah.
And
And
all boys, right? Am
all boys and 3 in December.
I okay? Wow, that is wonderful.
All boys and 2 dogs.
And 2 dogs?
2 dogs, yep.
Yes, that's what my son has. He has 4 children and 2 dogs. So that's 6 kids, just so you know, in my rhythm.
Absolutely, absolutely. They definitely are.
Yeah,
Extension of the family.
they are the family, and you have to look out for them just like you're looking out for your children because
Big time.
they
Yep.
take care of themselves. That is so right. So now let's go ahead and get into this. How would you define family time, Robert? What would you say family time is?
Well, in my opinion, family time is all time that talking and interaction can take place, amongst the family. And what I mean by that, uh, 2010, right before I had my child, University of Chicago had a program that was targeted towards parents and caregivers. It's called 30 Million Words, TMW. So I chose to join the program, and I stuck with it from 2010 up until now. And what it taught me, I was learning from she's a cochlear implant surgeon. So I know it's like a special word for it, but she was responsible for helping deaf children hear. So within this study, the words and the language that was spoken towards, our children's infants, definitely, usually in the first 3 years, it showed how the brain development, how essential it was to speak those words, and especially nurturing words like yourself, and I chose to stick with this throughout that stage from 0 to 3. So I continue to do talking and interaction. So instead of having just a regular car ride home, we talk. I want to teach them certain things, even rules of the road. Why I put my signal on. Why do I stop, before at a red light, instead of in a red light, green light, well, this is time for me to stop. So, why do I stop? Because the cars have to proceed on the other side. There's green. So that's where the interaction come in. So I take advantage of that as family time. I take advantage, sitting down, doing homework. Let's talk time. We're talking interaction can take place. That's all family time. Instead of having my little kid, just giving them a ball or a game to play with on the floor, I sit there and figure out a way I can interact. So I was taught within that program to use the 3 T's. It was talk more, tune in, and take turns. And which I showed to be effective, especially with my boys and in my family, and I continue to do that now, as we get old, as my oldest is 11 now, talk more, tune in, take turns, give them a chance to express themselves. And I feel like it just helped to develop them and give them that confidence, even to express themselves effectively, so that's pretty much how I use, family time. Like I said, it's all time with me, now do we take
So
it?
wonderful. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm going to have the audience, I'm going to ask you to we're going to be generous with the noise in the background because those are the children. I don't know about anybody else, but it's always when the parents are on the phone or on a Zoom call or cooking that the children come and they want to talk and be, interactive. So, audience, we're just going to be able to be with the children if we hear them, okay? We're not going to mute their background. Just saying.
Apologies. Thank you.
Okay. So now the question we're asking next is how do you establish structured family time? But you just gave us some examples of not just structured family time, but how you can actually use any time
Yes.
as family time.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes, I really love that. I remember when my daughter, she had to be about 2, and The Color Purple came out, and you remember how Celie learned how to. So, in order for me to have time to cook, I would write these words and put them all over the house, and then I would have her sit at the table, and I say, "Spell television." Well, that meant that she would have to get up at least 10 times
Yeah.
how to write the letter, but remembering at 2 or 3 how to spell it.
Wow. Yep.
Right. But that was the time that I could be with her and still cook. Does that make
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's exactly what I was saying, and giving a task, all those are family time. We have a family barbecue, give them a task, you'll help with the push broom and sweep the mulch on to the off the concrete. So just making them feel a part, everybody want to feel involved, and it just helps out with so much for teamwork, and they develop these skills where they can use outside of the home. So that's what, firm believer that all the learning starts in the home. We teach them how to do those things and develop socially and emotionally and intellectually, so they
Yeah.
get out there. Yeah.
And that probably makes your 11-year-old a pretty strong leader.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Give
He
us
take
some
on these.
idea. Yeah,
Yes.
give us some idea of what that looks like.
Oh yeah. The roles that he takes on, just like maybe I give an example of like this past weekend. We had a family out when we went to the carnival out in Elmhurst. So he knew that was coming up on Saturday, and what he did, he got his brother's things together. and laid him out at the end of his bed, for his bed along with his. And it kind of helped out because he was more so excited about going to the carnival. So he got up and wanted to speed up the process in the morning. But it's him. When we start him seeing us, we model this for him. Early on, we're getting the kids ready. He see what we do for his little brothers, and he did that for us just to speed up the process so we can leave sooner. So I just kind of took heed to it and like, man, you did a great job. You even picked out the clothes right and everything. He like, yeah, I know, because Kyle's gonna want to wear the same thing that Chase wearing. And that once Chase puts this on, Colin's gonna want to wear the same thing. So it was just a tip and tat thing. So he put the colors out just to avoid all that. Like, man, great job. So it's just little things like that, and just like I said, I take heed to all of it.
That is wonderful. And let me say this. Most people don't realize, but that is the start of developing leadership. First of all, allowing them, he took the initiative.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
that's, leadership is about taking the initiative. He took the initiative, and then he thought about
Yep.
what would the other ones require.
Exactly.
He didn't say,
Yep.
what do I want them to wear? He said, I knew that if he saw this, he would want it, right? And so he laid
Yep.
it out accordingly. And then he did it in a timely manner, right?
Yep.
So that everybody was ready. Oh my goodness, that is not small. But I also want to point out your acknowledgement. You acknowledged him and you said, great job. And so he's going to want to do that again.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
And it
that is.
all come from that interaction.
It is that is so much. Now listen, you've kind of given us so much inside of our first three questions that already I want to ask you: is there such a thing as a family curriculum, and what families can study together? Have you started engaging in anything like that with your sons?
I haven't, not necessarily a curriculum. It kind of goes with the flow of our family. Because I tried different things like a curriculum, or even like with family dinner or scheduling times. Different things that work for other families. I tried it a little bit, and I thought about it early on, but like this is what works for us. So what works for us, we continue to push it more. My wife is an educator, and I'm semi an educator as well. Well, I am,
You,
but
I was gonna say you're a master force educator.
yes, yes,
Okay, come
yeah.
on.
So we got two different ways and two different avenues where we come at educating our children, but we both know the main thing is to educate them and and be this example and serve them in that capacity. So we come together with our different ways and we use them, and when I can't really try the best way to explain it. I'm sorry. I hate when I have a brain fart. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, some of the things that we did, and this might trigger this for you, is that when my children were like 3 years old, I started teaching them how to distinguish the chess pieces on a chess game. You couldn't teach them strategy, but you can tell them how the rook moves. You can
Yeah.
tell them how the bishop moves. You can tell, right? You can tell them
Mm-hmm.
of the knight, everything, how everything moves. And then so they think they're playing, but what they're doing is moving.
Exactly.
But they're getting used to moving. And then I remember, I think my youngest son, he probably had to be about 5 years old when he started beating me in chess. And I was like, hold up, dude.
Yep.
We're not doing that just yet, are we? We're not, because then I'm gonna have to start playing for real, right?
Exactly.
Like, you're not playing for real, mommy? And I'm like, well, I didn't know that you were beating me.
Yeah. That's my
But
7-year-old. Yeah.
but actually, he was playing with his brother and his dad on the side, and I didn't know. And they were teaching strategy, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but those are just small little things, And we played other games. We played dominoes. I taught them spades and jacks and Monopoly and Scrabble, because those, it's not just the game, but those are teaching moments.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
kind of learn how they are about losing. You learn how
Yes.
they are about winning. You can see when it's about competition how they can get so emotional, and you can actually
Mm-hmm.
use that to say, okay, let's breathe.
Yep.
This is a game. You are spending time with your mommy, you know,
Yep.
and your mommy gets to win, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes.
I know, right?
It's
But
like,
I didn't start off always winning because that's the idea was not to crush their spirit, right?
right,
But when
exactly.
they, you can't let them win all the time because then they, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yep, but that's what I actually use the board games for, to kind of place an emphasis on sportsmanship and and fun at the same time. And when they go out, they show this big time. People always tell me, in competition sports or games that my kids were involved in, like Cal is just so fair, my little kindergartner. He just does this, and he's winning and kept winning. And like, I'll let them win this time. Just for the because he kind of saw that it was kind of getting to the other kid, but he was in preschool, but I'm like, that's what we do at home, and it teaches that, it develops that, and when they're out there, they can, have that character about them, So that's
That
what I take heed and pay attention to what I'm doing at all times and the way I'm talking to them, and it's good quality words opposed to just any old thing, and it
that
helps out. And that conversation is great with me. I have to always be on my square talking to my kids. Can't
oh
just tell them anything.
yes, and then we're teaching, the whole idea about conversation with children is that we're teaching them how to actually share themselves, but in a way that's respectful and that we can hear,
Exactly.
right? Instead
Yeah.
of, just the anger and the blowing up and the temper tantrums, and I grew up during an era where there was no self-expression. My grandmother would say, do something, and I might have a question like why or what. And if I even, perked my listening, but if I said what, I was going to get smacked.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's like, let me listen clearly so I don't get smacked.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we don't
Yeah.
want to raise our children like that anymore.
Exactly. So that's what I was gonna say. Even with a situation like that has happened, and I've called myself, like, my mother didn't necessarily raise me like that, but my grandparents, my aunts and stuff. I'm like, I couldn't ask those questions, although I really did want to know why. At times, like, the song, "There's some hoes in this house." I never knew anything about that as a kid, and my aunt told me, "Don't say that. I don't want to hear you sing it again." So all I thought about, like, hey, what's wrong with me saying something about some hoes? And we were in the projects, and it was, So I'm like, I didn't really think nothing about it though. So I'm like, it's more, and they said I got a whooping out of this world. So I'm like, that's crazy. And I still never understood why until a few years later, maybe like fifth or sixth grade. And I'm like, that's why this song is that kind of song. I shouldn't be singing this. But I feel like if I ask why, you should. It's funny, like, hey, that's a word, that a grown-up word or anything, or that's an adult word. You shouldn't use it, whatever the case may be. But I feel
Whatever
like
the
it
case
should have
may
been
be.
something,
Yeah.
because I never knew for several years, and I just hated that auntie because of that,
And can you imagine that all it took was a 1 or 2 minute explanation? That wasn't even, something you'd have to spend an hour on.
Exactly.
That
Yep.
was a 1 or 2 minute explanation. And you said it. That's an adult word that we do not use, and it's offensive, period.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. And I would have known, and that was it, But like I said, it was years. And I never want to go to Deborah's house. I never wanted to go there. And she got holes in the house anyway. That's how I just felt like that. That's how it was. But
Because it was like, that was still your opinion.
exactly. That's probably why I was singing the song. I heard it, and I like, it matched what I sing,
Yeah.
and I sang. Yep.
Right. That's so interesting. So now we were talking about the curriculum. We talked about games. Do you do reading time at all?
So that's the crucial thing. So reading, big time. So early on, because from the program I did at University of Chicago, words, 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 words. So I try to talk more, and read. We did a little bedtime stories, reading and stuff, but I felt like that was okay, especially like early on, 1, 2 years old, just gonna hear our voice and go to sleep, and they hearing words. So I always felt it was beneficial. But we have a set time. We do it 3 times a week. So during the school year, we would do it at 7 o'clock. So that's, of course, my schedule. I was working early morning, getting off in the afternoon. We all pretty much had the same schedule. So that was our reading time. In summertime, it kind of changed. We do still sit and read. And we all sit at the table, no phones, or anything, and read with the preschooler and the 3-year-old. We sit there. He gave his books, and he does amazing. just watching his brothers. He actually goes to those pages and he's really in tune. I'm like, man, is this dude really read? But so we'll read to him from time to time, but he wants to do it on his own. So we let him. He pick out the pictures and make up his own story based off the pictures. But he just got picked up onto the habit of us reading. So another form of reading that we usually do, called a math talk, you know, how much more we do a lot of that at nighttime with my 5-year-old, 7-year-old. It's almost like a little game that we play with them. And different scenarios. Dad went to the gas station. Dad had to purchase some milk. Dad gave you $10. The milk was $3. How much money are you bringing home back to Dad? So they both sit there and $7, $5. So we have one more game. So they're so excited. We usually do about 7, 8 of them before it's all right. It's time for y'all to go to bed now. But they keep on going. So it's usually scenarios based on math talk. And that's what kind of got them. My kid, they great. The 5 and the 7, the 7-year-old, he's pretty good, but the 5-year-old is great because he in competition, of course, with his 7-year-old brother, even though he's not really doing a lot of the math. The 7-year-old just he's going to second now. So yeah, my 5-year-old, my preschooler, he's on point, and now the 3-year-old, he gets involved. So he throw out his random numbers, and different things. So because they got the bum bit, so that's usually our thing opposed to the reading. Reading, like I said, I can read them to sleep, of course, but we actually have a reading time where we kind of read, and when I can actually engage, ask them a few questions or read to them as well. But the bedtime story reading, I don't. I kind of trade that with math, talk a little competition on scenarios and count.
I
So,
love that. That is so wonderful. I don't have any children, but with my grandchildren, I have to incorporate some of that because I love that. And then the enthusiasm that's there.
exactly. Yep. They want to do another one. One more. I'm like, all right. Well, what if you had $100? You bought this amount of gas. How much do you have? I'm like, I know you gonna try to ask me.
$2 back
Yeah,
nowadays.
exactly. Yep. But no, it's definitely amazing, and it helps out big time. The reading time. It started off with the older brother. Watching him. Well, Landon is going upstairs to go read. I want to go read too, and that's how watching him. So I figure it's a decent advantage in a way to having multiple children. I mean, if you have one, of course you have to do what you have to do, but it was a little easier for us because they follow each after each other and wanted to do it.
That's
So homework is something that they come home and want to do. My preschool, I always say like, hey, you didn't even take my homework out of my book bag, and my teacher said so this and that. And I'm like, well, you didn't tell me at home. Well, you didn't look at my book bag. I'm like, you're right. He's like, you're supposed to check my book bag. But you had this homework. So now he's on that routine. He come drop his homework out. This is my homework. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me go ahead and get these popsicle sticks together and do this.
that's right.
Yeah.
I had to learn to distinguish the difference in that because my daughter, my oldest son, because it was just him, it was easy to follow those routines. And then when my daughter was born and 2 children, man, she was on it. She would come in the house with, here, this is what we doing. Here, sign this. Here, we gonna do
Yeah.
this. Everything was neat. I would think, I was like, oh, okay, right. Just following. And so when my third son came, my third child came, and he was a boy. I was like, you have any homework? No. Check his bag. Dude, this is homework right here. He's like, it's already, and
Yeah.
just want to get it done, right? So it was learning how to be with each one of those children in the way that they operated.
Yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
That all of your children have different ways of being, and you have to actually accommodate that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So is that a challenge when it comes? I know you just made the oldest one likes to go up and read, but sometimes that's not appropriate for the younger 3. So you have to kind of like set different dynamics.
Yeah, I do. It was a little tougher early on, so I kind of traded in with the reading time with homework time. So that's why it was 7 o'clock. It was a little closer because we all make it home at about 6. Kind of let them unwind, and I trade in like that, especially with the younger ones. With my youngest, the 3-year-old, because he was always running crazy and driving everybody else nuts. So we had to create homework and reading time for him. So it's like it's time to read, and that's pretty much what started the reading time. It's time to read. He knows it's time to read once he get in the house, and he look forward to it. So we all sit down and did homework and we read.
Now, did you have family time growing up?
I did not. I did not. I say one of the key things that stuck out was love and attention. I did get a lot of that from my mother. My father passed away when I was 8 years old, so I grew up without a father. I was a single mother. I had a little sister with 4 years. She was 4 years younger than I am. But my mother worked, hard, 2 jobs, and but she took good care of us as far as what I know, and what I've seen in times that she was around was always the love, even my baseball and wrestling matches, I look in the stands and see that my mother wasn't paying attention, she was studying for her ultrasound stuff at the time, and I hit a home run or get a nice hit and look over like, I don't say, Mom, you see that? Yeah, I saw it, baby. I saw it. Like, I know for a fact she did it, but I was cool with it. I knew what was going on, so it was really just a love, and I knew my mother really loved me, which was actually my greatest fear, why I didn't make a bunch of the dumb decisions that I could have made. It was the love that I had for my mother, and I knew she had love for me, the love she had for me. So, I never really, I just wanted to make her proud, and like she's trying, and she's doing the best that she could. And I knew that, and I don't know why, but I always knew these things growing up early as a kid. I never resented her for any of the things that I know took place, that she really wasn't there when I was playing these sports or, doing certain things. She was always elsewhere, fought for work and trying to, provide for my sister and that. But, you know, um, family time dinner, no, it didn't take place. We didn't have that, but like I said, I kind of knew I was a little understanding of it. And she did the best of what she knew how to do. But I made sure that that was something that I wanted. And I told her that, when I was a kid, I couldn't wait to have children. It wasn't modeled in front of me, but that's something that I wanted. I told her I wanted to get married. When I finished high school and have 5 kids, I got pretty close to it, so, and I'm doing it. So, I'm living, that's why I'm always happy. I'm living my dream. I have my wife, 4 kids, house, 2 dogs, chilling, everything else, it's pretty much extra, and I can try to help out whoever I can help and talk to, but I'm fine. I have this is exactly what I want, and it's the lifestyle I want. So
That is beautiful, and thank you for sharing that because I think one of the biggest contributions on the earth that we can make is being family. It's having children and loving them and actually helping them to become people that love. I'm not into the whole model citizen conversation, but when you love people, they actually do become that.
yeah, absolutely, exactly. Yeah,
And it's not like become this person, become that person, but actually a person with a good heart, a
yeah,
person that would, not just take care of themselves, but look out for their buddy, look out for their family. That comes from love, and that's kind of
yes,
deep seated. But people who don't come from that, they tend to be more selfish and it's me, everything is about me, and they're
yeah,
always trying to take from other people to give to themselves.
exactly.
And so imagine if we could raise a generation of just loving parents.
Yes, yeah.
you
So I
know
stress that. I let them know I love them.
that's
You
right,
know,
that's what you're doing. These are young fathers that you're raising right now. If
yes,
they choose, they don't have to choose, but if they choose, that really is a contribution to our
yeah.
community you know
And it's crazy just watching them for really the three oldest, just watching them just the two middle ones, them observing my wife and I, and just looking, you just hear their opinions and stuff on things. He's like, my 5-year-old, he say, I can't wait to get married. His reason why he want to get married is because he want to be the boss at his own house, when nobody can tell him what to do. And then he got my others, and he want to have his own kids, and he gonna be the boss of the house. So I'm like, that's his way of looking at it. Then you have my 7-year-old. He's like, well, I'm gonna have 6 kids, but I'm not having a wife. So he's like, oh, so what's the reason for not having a wife? So I'm eavesdropping. Why you want to have a wife? They're like, cause one thing, she just makes all the rules, and she always telling you what to do. I'm like, oh my goodness, so just based on the observation, but they still about family. They both want family and different things, and then my oldest, that's the same way he is as well. But and I like that, and I don't know, I'm just excited to see how the future gonna turn out. So I know be a good granddaddy though.
Yeah, I know for me, we didn't have family time. We didn't have any. It was all about survival in my household, and growing up with my mother being, in and out of a mental institution. It was pretty much. I had to always fend for something to eat. It was. I was telling somebody the other day, when you don't have a mother in the house or a father in the house saying, "Oh, let me set some food aside." You pretty much you're not gonna have any food because everybody is looking for something to eat, right? So,
Right.
so I had to, for myself, cultivate a an appreciation for being able to feed myself.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear that? So
Yep.
that piece that mothers, they don't realize how important that is. The nurturing piece that mothers put in. Like, I love what you said about your mother. Like, she was in the stand. She might have been doing some work, but she was there. She provided for us. She made sure that we had a roof over it. Even if she didn't cook the meal, there was food in the house. You,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying? So those kind of things actually do make a difference, for family. Families aren't always mother, father, and children. Sometimes it's
Exactly.
just mother and children or just father and children. But that still makes up a family, somebody that's looking out for the children. But I promise you, what I did have, I had neighbors that said, that would send their children and say, go over there and see if little Rita want to join us for dinner. I'm in the backyard. Yes,
Yeah. That's amazing. Yep.
So somebody was feeding me, and that's, God is good. The universe is always providing. So, I didn't starve. It could have been one of those delinquent children that, um, because again, that I can see why I would choose, because we teach in Master Force that we choose our parents. I know people don't like to hear that, but
But yeah.
that's the power source for us. We chose to come here. We chose to choose our parents so that there were certain things that our souls wanted to learn. And my family time was about learning how, like you did, create family. How do I create family from nothing? And that's what we literally had to do. So, I just want to acknowledge that people, you can't say what you didn't have, and so you can't do it. You actually can.
Yep. Exactly.
You actually.
Absolutely.
So now, your children, for right now, the summertime. Now, are they out of school?
Yes, they are. Yes, they
So,
are.
so now you have to plan the sports time, active. What does that look like now? And then including family time.
Everything. So how that really goes right now. My wife, so she's a teacher, so she's out when they're out. They ended pretty much the same day, and it kind of works with our schedule. She takes them to camp early on in the morning. They all pretty much done at about 3 and 5 o'clock. So she's heading home with one of them, the oldest right now. So that's until wrestling starts. That's usually when I'm more so involved. So the winters are usually me all the time. They always with me in the wintertime for wrestling season, wrestling and boxing. So summertime get a little bit cooler. For myself, she usually takes them to camp. They do lacrosse, soccer, and swimming. And I got the youngest is in gymnastics, tumbling. So we're pretty busy. We got a pretty busy schedule. Usually in the evening, my schedule. I'm usually sleep during the day, so it's
Yeah.
my time with them is kind of in the morning time for a few hours.
Mm-hmm.
So my oldest, our good family time is on the dog walk. He go with me out to walk the dog in the early morning. So that usually his responsibility to let him out. About 5:30, 6 o'clock. But now that school's not in session, we both go on that walk when I come home in the morning and take the dogs up. But
That's
we got a pretty decent balance, as far as time and the time I get, really to spend with them when I wake up. So they're usually at camp and getting back though most of the time. By the time I wake up, until I get in at 8 in the morning, and probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's usually when I'm kind of seeing them. So the winter time is my time with them, more so interaction
so.
outside of the house.
Yeah, I'm listening to the age and responsibility. How do you begin to determine? Because like that 3 year old, he doesn't have much accountability as of yet, right? But when do you start like bringing them into the structure?
Well, no, he's actually he is. He's been that 3-year-old is probably like about 6 or 7, really. You know,
Come
he's
on, tell us about it, right? Because
it's
he wants to emulate his big brother.
exactly. So that's what it is, you know. And he's actually that's like been my most. I hate to say a project for the word, but that's my most interesting project. That you know, because I pay attention to like as far as the developing process from when they came up. Like you know, even with my 7-year-old, I know the time in life where I was at. You know, he didn't really hear many words. You know, he didn't grow up in a rich language environment at that time due to certain things my wife and I were going through at that time. My
Mm-hmm.
11-year-old kid, my 5-year-old, he was pretty much when I was doing that program, and I was pretty much solid in that, and I learned a lot, and I was doing a lot of practice on him when he was first born. The youngest, he's getting some of everything. You know, I'm Master Force certified. I'm went through this program. I'm like, I got everything. So he's experienced a lot of it, plus his older brothers. You know, so his development is like it surpassed his big time. You know, he's reading, counting numbers and everything and doing a lot of the things that he sees his older brother does. So he picked up on, you know, he goes to wrestling practice. I got a tag. I got 3 of them I'm already bringing. So he always end up being a tag along on accident. But, you know, my wife, I'm tired. I've been, you know, at work. Usually wrestling practice 6 o'clock in the evening. She's a school teacher. I'm off early at 2:30. So by the time they get out of school, 4:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, she put them on me. She's understanding it was cool. You know, I'm like, all right, they going to wrestling practice. I'm
Right.
taking the baby too. The baby, I want to get on the mat. I want my wrestling shoes. He bought them wrestling. So everything just kind of followed on, you know, boxing. I want my own mitts. I want you to wrap my hand too. So his hand's getting wrapped. He's not even throwing no punches. But it picked up and now he wants to do it. And he showed that enthusiasm, put all the energy towards it. And he does it. He practiced. You know, he comes started wrestling practice to the age of 4. I mean, age of 5. They got him in there right now. You know, he wrestles with us. So,
Because he's ready.
yeah, he's ready. You know, and he picked up so much from his brothers. You know, they go home and play around. I'm like, wow. I just sit there, I'm like, oh my God. I almost be sitting there just holding myself like, what am I creating right here? You know, and the questions he asks, the things he doing, I'm like, it's just, it amazed me. And I'm like, it's like, oh no, it's just amazing seeing him talk, the things he see, things he remember on car rides, everything, you know, and I just pay attention to that development and see, you know, what role his brothers played in, role, you know, we as parents, you know, as his immediate caregivers, and it's a key role, you know, children, they need that, you know, talking and interaction and just feeling loved and feeling involved, you know, growing up, it helps, you know, develop those emotional skills and
That's
intellectual skills.
right. So have you started them yet on any of the Master Force curriculum? Are they breathing,
ETC, yep.
meditating,
That's been key.
visualizing?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. You know, I wish my 11-year-old was here right now. I'll tell him, go ahead and lay it out for you. You know, the Marv technique is, you know, that's his thing, you know. And he's like, Dad, you know, when he tried out the lacrosse thing,
Right.
he meditated. He said, I seen myself and visualize these things already, Dad. He's like, I was great before I even started playing. So I told him, once you found what you're gonna do, you know, I want you to, you know, whatever sport. I didn't want to force wrestling my thing. I showed them this. They watched it. I introduced it to them. I was never gonna force it on them. You know, whoever wanted to wrestle, wrestle. Whatever sport you choose to do, I told them like, or whatever activity you choose to do, you know, be great at it. He's like, well, Dad, I was already great at it before I even started. Don't be all cocky. He's like, no, look, you know, I meditated, I visualized, I seen myself just doing this and doing all these moves and everything. And next thing you know, they said they moved me up to varsity. Next thing you know, they got me playing with the high school boys and stuff. He's like, they're a little faster, but I can hang with them. But no, that was just that was great just to hear. You know, like I was great before I even started. And you know, he's seeing himself doing it. You know, and that's what I use with him. You know, and sit down, visualize anything you do, pretty much. You know, because that's what helps myself even with this carpentry stuff. If they put me on and throw me on a task, I need you on the train, I need you here. I gotta like visualize and see myself doing this and well, even making mistakes and bouncing back from it, even dealing with the stuff that I can deal with, like you moving too slow, or whatever the case may be on the field. I never had those experiences, but I already put myself in those situations on how to respond, how to deal with them and everything, how to breathe through it, all of that, you know. So yeah, I'm not worried about it. Times I was nervous, no, I got to picture myself. I visualize pretty much every situation. So I love
It's
that
beautiful.
they do
You know, it's so interesting because when you said lacrosse, I was gonna say, well, how did he get involved in lacrosse? Are they
it.
doing lacrosse in Chicago?
I'm telling you. That's the same thing. I told him I used to hear about it. I never even thought about playing the sport. I'm like, lacrosse, but he fell and he's great at it. And I'm like, this is crazy. And he's like, he likes it. I stick with it, pay the money, whatever we need to do. He's on the team that you want to do. That's what he loves now.
That's beautiful. I was with my grandchildren. When was it? I think in December I went to see them, and we like to play Monopoly. It's a few games we like to play, but they beat me so bad in spades. Now I went and showed them spades about 3 years ago, and now every time I go, I'm like, do you have to beat me every time? Like even the youngest one, she's like, yeah, I know how to count my cards. That was like, but
Yeah.
we're playing Monopoly, and we have the rule that when you have to pay a fine or something, you put it under free parking. you know. And so my oldest granddaughter, she was 11, she's 11. Every time she got the free parking, she would win all the money. And I said, how are you doing that? And she looked at me, Mima, I visualized it. I was like, oh,
That's crazy you said
like
that. Yeah.
everything, Mima. I was like, okay, I guess I need to visualize winning
Yep.
free
But no, you're right though, because see, my 7-year-old, I mean, not my 7-year-old, my 11-year-old, that's literally what he thinks is his magic. That's
parking.
his power. That's his superpower. And I sit there, I meditate, and I visualize these things. And I'm like, I'm glad you used it. You manifesting things and you putting your mind to it. And he used that power big time. But his brothers, they so. Especially like my 7-year-old, got little anger issues. And what he does, teach him how to breathe. He relax. Did it make you feel better? It did. So what felt better? I don't know. Like, I mean, so why do you say you feel better? I mean, my head, I don't feel mad anymore. Okay, that's good. All right, so what's up with your head? I don't know. I feel, I don't know. My head just feel better. So I'm like, okay, he trying to tell something was released from him. You can
Yeah, but
tell.
he just didn't
Couldn't
have
breathe.
words
He
for
just
it.
had a words for it,
Words for it.
exactly. So, I was just picking it up. I'm like, my head. I'm like, so he do it all the time. So like, Dad, I did this. I got hit with the ball and it hurt really bad. And they was sitting there laughing and stuff and all that. I was crying, and then I was like, I breathe, and I felt better. And I just got up and I was throwing the ball back. This and that. I hit him back with the ball. They was playing dodgeball and stuff, but he got hit in his face with it. Ain't like people laughing, but he showing that this is what he used to kind of deal with those tough situations where he kind of going, I breathe, and pick this practice up, keep it up, you know. That's my time out for them usually, even when they kind of off the chain. Take time, they go sit their butts down, right on their butts, cross the leg, and they go deep breathe and
That's
relax.
exactly right.
You ready to get back started?
Yep.
Yes. Boom, go ahead.
That's exactly what we do too. I remember with my grandson at 18 months, it's like that. We're not doing temperature. And his dad would put him on the floor and say mummy pose, and he'd have to just sit there and breathe. And he put his hand on his stomach and just breathe, until
Yeah.
he's fallen asleep many times in that position.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because a lot of times they're just tired.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
You
He
know?
said the key because that's exactly what took place with the 3-year-old before, at the family barbecue. Hey,
Yeah,
get himself together. He lay on his back and breathed though. That's how he do his.
that's exactly
Good.
right.
And would pass right out though, but
Yeah.
he had to do that, like, all right, go breathe. If you catch him at the perfect time, this breathe session, he going to sleep.
He
Other
going.
than that, he gonna do 3 breaths and get right back up and say he fine. But usually he knocked out.
Because that's exactly why we want to get the Master Force curriculum into the hands of parents, because it's those simple things that keep you from like smacking them and hitting them, and I mean, it makes so much sense to teach them how to have personal self-discipline with
Exactly.
your breath,
Yeah.
know, or personal achievement through your visualization. You know, manifestation through meditation. Imagine that at such a young age.
I wish I had.
I
Tell
do
you.
too. Well, that's why it was created, because it was like my life was too much of a struggle. It's like, give me some ease and grace.
Yeah.
You know, that is so cool. Now, can family times sometimes include outsiders?
Uh, Me personally, I would say no. That's just my opinion, because and the reason I say that is because it's different. Even my extended family, or my kids will be around hearing their opinion. Not that it necessarily affects me, but sometimes I do have to defend it. My kids go out and may say, "Oh, your kid's off the chain," or "Your kid's bad," or this and that. I'm like, what? Especially amongst their children. The kind of the difference. But I don't want to really get offended by it because I don't. But that's why I don't really kind of welcome in too many other folks' opinions about my children. So I keep a lot of things separate. As far as how we are, and wife and I, what we model and what we do is what we do, and other folks they can kind of see it from the outside that they some pretty decent kids, but as far as my family and no, maybe somebody else like yourself, you kind of can know those nurturing people and the nurturing spirit that they have
Yeah.
to welcome certain things with your children or whatever. But I'm not really too big on it, and us, having them grow up in an environment where they were dealing with talking and interaction big time and learning from us, they know who they dealing with anyway when they talking to certain folks for the most part.
And that is so true. I remember my children because, like you, there was always communication. So if I asked my children to do something, they could ask me why, and I literally would explain it to the extent that it was a small lecture, but they got it, and
Yep.
they would now be enrolled and engaged in doing it because I answered their question. Now, when they're around other adults want them to, you just do what I said. And my children
Exactly.
aren't the kind of, I'm not gonna do that just because you told me.
They don't do well with it, right?
You know
Yep.
what I mean? My gut ain't working with that.
Exactly. Yep.
My mama don't feed me that. My mama
Mm-hmm.
don't, so they're gonna question. And I remember people saying, yeah, your children aren't being raised properly because they don't respect authority. And I was like, yeah, okay, well, what are we
Wow.
talking about here? And I knew what they were insinuating. So, one of the things that I would teach my children, I would go back as they got older and it would explain to them, when you're dealing with adults, make sure that you're actually speaking to them in a way that they can hear you, right? And not like you're at their equal.
Yep.
You know what I
Wow. Yep.
mean? You have
Dang.
to yield to them.
Yep.
So you can have your opinion about it, but most of the time, most adults want to win, but that still doesn't mean that you do what they say. You
Mm-hmm.
say no when it's inappropriate.
Yep. Exactly.
Because you can follow, a lot of adults will lead children astray because they don't know any better.
Exactly. Exactly. And just like so, look, I give an example. With my uncle, he be cutting their hair sometime from time to time. So his wife, they go over there. She's his new wife, so they don't really know her like that. But anyway, she came over there. Oh, they so cute and everything. This and that. I guess she had some candy. So my 5-year-old ended up asking like, she had a big old jar of M&Ms. He like, you don't have any healthy candy? So she say healthy, and she kind of on the chubby side. So it was like, oh my goodness. I'm sitting there in the barber chair waiting, getting my haircut. Like, you don't have any? She's like, she's like, what you mean healthy candy? She's like, no, this all I got. If you don't want it, you don't have to eat it. So I'm sitting there like, man, that's how she respond to my son. And he's like, well, you don't need to be eating this too because it's not healthy for you. And she's like, look, I can eat what the hell I want to eat. So I'm like, man, hold on, bro. I'm good. Stop cutting my hair. So I'm like, man, that's how you talk to a 5-year-old, this lady. She's like, no, I don't be dealing with them little smart mouth fake kids and stuff like that, but I'm like, he telling you some true stuff. And she's like, no, either he want them nails or he won't, or he don't. This nigga, my kids, Yeah, they don't do all that extra stuff. About, do I have some healthy candy in here? So I'm like, hey, you about these healthy candy? I'm like, but it was just the response period and her not acknowledging, it's clear, she probably could have said that, no, I don't have any, whatever, health candy, whatever. But what are you teaching this 5-year-old, So I'm like, it's how we sit there and respond in these situations and stuff like that, I'm like, you teach him not to even choose to even express himself if it was a situation about them, or if we had an option, would you say no? I don't have any other
No,
kids.
no, I don't. Period.
Whatever, but
Right.
they're like they eat junk, they eat candy. I'm not saying that they do all this stuff, but he just asked that. And Kyle is the little witty one. That's the one to do all that crazy stuff, whatever. And knowing he loved M&Ms and Skittles and all that stuff, but he gonna ask that.
Right.
Like, this just struck a little spot in the bone with her being a big girl, chubby girl, or whatever, and she took it out on him. And I'm like, dang, you don't cuss it. I don't do no cussing at my kids like that, So
that's right.
You not finna cuss at them. I don't talk to them like this. You not either. So that's why I had to say something to him. Like, oh, man, But it wasn't nothing a big deal. But like I said, it was just a response to him. So it's just like little small things like that, even with amongst other people, children. Like when you ask, right, invite outsiders, as far as with the family and everything. But like I said, I don't. But it's kind of hard for me to really say that because I almost be forcing myself in certain people's business and situation and their household, which I know I probably shouldn't, but these things be out of place, out of hand. But then I'd be like kind of like a hypocrite. I'm like, I raise my kids how I do and I do this, so I'm gonna be working with stuff from the outside, but things that I see and me being just as a loving caregiver, certain things like, no, don't do that, bro. I'll be able to chill that one guys about to flame up a blunt, light a blunt, or whatever. I don't know, your kid's your 3-year-old running around, your 4-year-old. That's not right. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see how you even feel comfortable doing this amongst this age group kid, whatever. But I can't parent that way. Cussing them out. Do this and that. Your bald head ain't. I'm like, whoa, this how you let your wife talk to her kid? It's y'all kid at that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, none of my business. But I kind of slide my input in there some way, somehow. But I'm not saying they bad parents, but I'm like, this is crazy. I can't believe me being in your house or guessing your crib and your girl going off on your kids this way. I'm like, I'm not telling my wife, hey, chill up, I got company in here. But you going off like this, like, man, that's my problem. Whatever's going on in this y'all household, but I'm here, bro. I guess I bought a gas here too. This stuff's still going on.
And and it's almost like, you know, you you want to protect your own peace too,
Yeah,
right? So I don't want this to get escalated because you don't know that house and you're thinking, wait a minute, if you starting off like that,
exactly. Yeah.
that can jump to a fire real quick.
Yep.
But
Exactly.
I asked that question because one of the reasons that Master Force was formed was inside of a conversation that I was having with my oldest son, who was at that time 10, and I wanted to instill spiritual insights, but I wanted to do it without so much of the influence of religion. And so I began having meditation sessions in my home, and I would have him invite his friends. And one of the reasons I did that is because first of all, he hung out with these. It was just him, right, and his little sister. So his friends was who he hung out with, and I wanted to, it's kind of like the peer pressure was gonna be there.
Right.
So it's like if I'm going to teach him, then I have to teach his peers. So I started inviting his friends. I said, invite your friends over, and we would have these Wednesday night meditation sessions. And we would base them on whatever challenges they had went through that week at school or at home. And I would do a slight lecture on whatever it was, if it was anger, if it was like really something happened at school about racism or whatever it was, we would speak to that, and then we would meditate on it and release any, kind of, any kind of stress we had about it. So that went on for, about 3 years, that these young men, and even when it started with the young men, it started growing because the girls wanted to come. And so when the girls come, the parents are like, well, I got to come and see what this is. So we started, people would be up the steps, the dining room was full, the living room was full, people were hanging
Yeah.
over the, and it was amazing because I was just really doing what I felt, because this was in Schaumburg and people were coming from all around because, our neighbors were of another persuasion
Right.
you know. And I remember the police calling me one night and they said, there's a large gang meeting going on in your home. And I said, oh, yeah, I'm right here. Really?
Yeah, I'm chief. I'm here.
Trying to reach, I'm right here. But, people don't know what you're doing. So the police would sit right outside my house, watching all the time, and I didn't realize then what that was about. But they would stop me. I would stop. They would stop and take me in for. I was just like, really, and I had no idea that this was discrimination, or I just knew this. And I'm trying to get to the school because we're doing a fashion show today, because I was involved with the children as much as I could,
Mhm.
but it made sense for me to include other children, if that makes
No,
you know
absolutely. Yep.
yeah, but with your sons, they have each other. That's a community right there.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
And that's what my son, he has a whole tribe. I'm like, yeah, it's, you have 4 kids, a wife, and 2 dogs. Y'all got
Still not enough for them jokers. They want to do something every day.
it's something every day,
Something. Yeah.
you
Something
know.
every day. But even when taking care of the dogs, they picked up like we used to board them a lot when we go out of town. They turned into like a bill.
A
With
big deal.
a big bill. So, but my oldest, he does so well with him. He do a lot of the training, things that he got to sit, stay, and all that stuff. I'm like, man, how you figure all this stuff out? But he get on there YouTube and he's like, Dad, I know you have to work and everything, and you have like you don't really have the time and everything, and they don't really listen to you. I'm like, my dogs listen to me, I'm the boss, but he don't think so. But he got the commands on point with my dogs, and I'm like, this is crazy. I don't even know. I didn't even know they know this trick. But so we kind of gave him a little responsibility, and their grandmother, their great grandmother, come over and spend a night, maybe a weekend when we used to go out of town. We usually leave the dogs here. Our dogs free; they run out the whole time. And for us to have some large dogs, a great job with them, and
And
I'm
so,
just
so the great
amazed.
grandmother, she's comfortable with them.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's first, we used to live with her for a while before we got married, and trying to get a dog over there. Saying, "Oh no, I remember when I was, staying in you know, uh, in the projects, I got chased by a dog and all that stuff. That was freaking 50 years ago. Why you still talking about this?" So like, we get us a dog, we'll be all right, But she wouldn't let us get a dog, and then she came over here. She would never even come around dogs. She was terrified of dogs. I got big dogs, like I said, and she loved them, and she's like, it's the only dog she deal with. But like I said, my son, he did a great job, working with him. So it made her comfortable, made me comfortable leaving him there with just the grandmother and the 3 little boys. So,
Oh, that is so wonderful.
oh yeah, and they ride them like horses,
They right.
babies.
What kind
I
of dogs are they?
got American Bullies XLs, so I
Oh
got the
wow.
largest, so about 140, 150,
Yeah.
1 pound size big dogs. Yeah, it's big
Mhm.
solid dogs.
Big solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty too. They
Oh
can
yeah, yeah, they some beauties. I ain't clipped the ears or nothing. I like the regular old droopy
regular.
ears.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but yeah, it's beautiful dogs. So
That is so
my
wonderful.
babies, yeah.
Now, can you speak a little bit to the effect of what happens with children when they don't have input from adults?
So that's most of my reasoning uh, with the wrestling program and what I do with the boys. We try to teach outside of wrestling with these life skills and kind of be like a extended father to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I use that type of interaction with them because I'm able to see, that they definitely lack, and it's even hard even helping them, within the schools, communicating, they don't communicate well, not able to express themselves, on a social or emotional level. When you are trying to see what's going on, like, man, what's wrong? You can tell something's wrong, and working with them, like, why you down? Like just yesterday you were like this, now today you're like this, and you end up hearing the stories about or paying attention to like the behavior. Like I got one kid, he used to always, it's wintertime, he always stay up there late. And hey, Coach Nick, I can help you out with this. Coach Nick, you need me to bring that to your car? Coach Nick, you want me to drive your car around? Oh man, boy, chill out. You're in seventh grade, stuff like
He
that.
drive my car.
Yeah. Man, Coach Nick, I got you. And he always so helpful, good dude, The other kid, I mean, he kind of had like a little body odor to him too, so he always musty and everything. But I was paying attention to some of these things. I'm like, it's something up. But he always a good spirit, good energy, But you can tell his down time was usually changing in the locker room, putting their stuff on or taking their stuff off. And like, it's time to leave, paying attention to his behavior. Like, man, why you always want to stick around, help out? But come to find out, they have hot water, so he was staying there. He wanted to stay up there at the school once everybody leaves to take a shower.
Wow.
So he's like, and it's wintertime. I mean, yeah, they didn't have heat and hot water. So taking a shower, he'd chill up there. So he wanted to spend as much time as he could up there at the school because he got to go home to no heat and stuff like that. We didn't know about the situation. So I let the head coach know, they helped out in ways that they can, but nobody really had no concern the way that I kind of did, he's in high school now, actually. So yeah, he was in eighth grade, seventh, eighth grade, and I was dealing with him. So he's a freshman now. We're doing a lot better, and his father's out of jail, so I stay in contact with him. But these are, reasons why, I kind of do the things I do, because like I said, they don't be able to express themselves, talk to anybody. They try to hide these things. They don't feel loved and appreciated and different things. Their motivation don't be there. And his outlet is really, is wrestling. So I'm glad that I'm able to be there with him and provide this outlet for him. And he done pretty well, for himself. So, and I'm like, I would love to do a lot more, but right now, wrestling and talking to him and giving them some of the tools that I have, and meditating, visualize, you can see yourself doing this and things will get better, all that stuff, and giving them some type of hope, and I know I'm that person, he could call me all the time. Miss Lucy got some issue, Coach Nick, and like he bigger than me now. I'm like, dang, I'm just my little self. I'm like, he done sprouted up on me, and I'm like, but it's just good just to be in contact with a lot of those guys, and the youth that I deal with, and that's why I'm that person for them, and then I get it's rewarding to me. I get satisfaction out of that, and even just being the ear for them to talk to, and I ask them the necessary questions, why and who, what's and whys and stuff like that. A lot of open questions so they can express themselves and they can vent to them. Man, I'm going through this. You don't understand. No, I'm sitting there trying to take care of my mama doing this. She over there messing with this guy. And I'm like, oh, ain't none of my business, but this is what your reasoning for going out here and doing what you're doing because your mama messed with this guy, your 3-year-old brother, you feel that you got to take care of. So I'm like, nobody else knows. Your school don't know this stuff, All they know is you got to be in school. You missing school. You tired and you late. You like you beating buckets on the over here so you can make you $20, $30 because you got to do this for your little brother. I'm like, that ain't your responsibility. You're in eighth grade. But who am I to tell him you can't do this? You know what I'm saying? Like you taking care of, you're doing something, and to try to help out your 2, 3-year-old brother. And I'm like, I can't really tell you can't do that. I can use mother tools, meditate, visualize, different things, breathe, different little stuff to kind of help you deal with your anger and your frustration and stuff like that. Yeah, your mother, she dealing with this guy who that's beating on her and doing whatever to her, or he messing around with these people because he be in the neighborhood and you see him all the time, and you tripping that he can't give you a ride to go to court. So some other juvenile student. But these are the issues that they deal with, and I'm like, it's tough. And it can't really say express themselves, they don't feel love. And that's who I am to them. So
That is wonderful. And I hope people can hear the difference that it makes to have just even one adult, just one, and that is a lot, because this, if you can get this child through this short period of time, just a
That's it.
few years, until he can get on his own and get to the point where he can believe in himself. I mean, that's huge. And he'll be able to do something for someone else, but he'll be able to even help his mother more once he gets past that. If you can just
Exactly.
get him past that period,
Yep.
you know. And that, a lot of people don't realize. Every time I hear, people say, where were the parents, where were the parents? Well, some of us didn't have parents.
Yep.
Some of us didn't have anybody looking out for us.
Yep.
So the fact that we survive is purely by the grace of the universe, and we're supposed to be here.
Yep. And it's
Yeah, parents are like that piece that protects and take care and save, but everybody didn't have that.
exactly.
So having you look after this young man and all the other young people that you come across, I try to do that. I try to give young mothers a break. I try to give, in my family or where I can, because it's like single mothers, they're just doing so much.
Hmm.
To my concern is that you're gonna get to a place where you just burn out.
And that's why I believe like exposure and just you know educating our youth and talking to them, where especially early on, they can develop those critical thinking skills and they can be developed and have a, be able to reach their full potential, period, to take advantage of what's there here, what's here for us to do. Because I'm like, kind of look at myself, I didn't grow up with the best advantages and everything. Because I had a single mother, or whatever, but education and not the formal school education, just what took up place in my household, being able to learn how to read and stuff like that from my parent, my mother, and the exposure that I had from, aunties and aunts and stuff like that. It just helped my brain to develop while I was able to reason on my own, growing up as a child, to receive even just the knowledge that other adults that I came across had and everything, and it helped me to reason just period with my life, because kind of people can't make excuses. I know I'm kind of rambling, but like, and I don't want to call them excuses. So I don't want to minimize anybody's situation, what they went through as a child. But it comes a time and point, you know, where we can't reason and think for ourselves, and our decisions we make, whether good or bad, they're critical during that time, and it can kind of make or break us, and like I said, I didn't grow up in the best guidance or anything, but I knew the decisions that was right or wrong. And I feel everybody has that, no matter what, growing up. You know what right or wrong is. So people make, I don't want to say excuses, but excuses. I didn't have a mom, I didn't have a dad. This is why my life ended up like this. I needed help and all that stuff like that. To me, it's kind of, it's a way of tapping out and being, it's what the well, what the United States of America, what they kind of create for us, becoming content and forced upon a certain way of living, and we down ourselves and feel like we ain't do good enough or we're not good enough. And I'm like, that didn't take place. I had my own way of thinking, growing up, and I'm like, man, just because this person doing this, I don't mean it's right. I don't mean it's good. So I came with my own understanding with this, and that's how I wanted to put on with my kids. It's like, whatever you feel, whatever's good to you, it's no that's right or wrong or none of that stuff like that. As long as you're not killing, murder and stuff like that, it's really none of that. I let them be expressive, and that's how I want the youth that I deal with to be expressive. Because I feel like I was never expressive growing up, because everything like, well, no, you got to do this, you got to finish high school, you got to do, there was a lot of stuff I just didn't have any interest in, and
Yeah,
it was like I had to do this,
yeah.
and I don't really want to kind of force that on to nobody, no child, anything, and I held things back. I never really reached my full potential because of this, and now I'm just really kind of getting involved with everything that I wanted to do,
That is
and
wonderful, because I can hear what you're saying, and sometimes that's why I love teaching the way that I do because by the time people finish telling me their excuses, it's like,
Yep.
let me tell you what I had to go through.
Yep.
Okay, let me tell you what I didn't have. But a lot of times I don't do it like that simply because I know that people aren't wired the same way that I am.
Exactly.
However, at some point, you are ultimately responsible for everything that happened in your life.
Exactly.
And if we can, the youngest we can make that child or young person get clear about that, the more power they can have. Like your son said, this is my magic. And you made a huge point when you said this is the programming that America does to especially African American children, making them think, oh, you didn't have a mother, you didn't have a father, so your life is going to be messed up for the rest of your life. And that's not true.
Exactly.
That is
Yep.
not true. You still have access to the greatest power in the universe, and that's God, or whatever
Mhm.
you want to call it, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, whatever name you want to give it. Being able to surrender to the energy of the universe and accept that guidance.
Exactly.
Because that's what it is. You like thinking different, yeah. Because I remember growing up, and my family, I grew up with a bunch of angry women. And I remember praying, Father God, please do not let me become bitter. And I had every reason in the world to be bitter. Every reason. And I kept praying, and I prayed for wisdom at a very young age. I just kept praying for wisdom. I read the Proverbs all the time. And even at 17, when I broke my hip, thigh, and knee, and they said I probably wouldn't walk again, one of the teachers brought this book in, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and bam, whoa! I was like, your son, this is it.
Yeah.
All I could think of is, they're not teaching this in school? Really? This is a book? And
Exactly.
they're not teaching this?
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yep.
I just couldn't even believe they weren't teaching that. So all I could think of is at some point, I've got to have a school to be able to teach that. I got to be able to teach it. I didn't realize until that became a vision that, oh no, this is not what you teach. You
Yep.
can't teach that. You have to teach this. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's where the program is. You don't want us to know how powerful we are and that we can create any life that we want to if we learn the power of our mind.
Man. Yep. Absolutely.
Any life, through any circumstances, through any challenge, we can come above it all.
Yes, indeed. Yep. And that's what I love, that my oldest is figuring that out and he's seeing it. And
Yep.
like now he coming out, I'm like, ain't now you understand. And I'm like, wow, it took me all these years to figure this out. And school, my time was perfect, for the situation, but for him to get it at that age, I just look back, I'm like, wow, had I known this stuff, even doing things that I was doing, wrestling and everything, I'm like, I wish I was meditating. I wish I was visualizing myself. I wish I was doing a lot of these things. I wish I was breathing and everything. But
Now you get to, but look, you
yeah,
have four little people. I mean, when I was so grateful that I could raise my children with this. I mean, they could care less about Master Force, because we were raised with Master Force. I said, no, not really. You know what I'm saying? But okay. But then even to share that with my grandchildren, it saves so much time.
hmm
You understand? And then I hear parents say this a lot. Oh, I don't want my children to struggle. I don't want, uh,
yeah, that,
you gotta let them struggle. If
yeah,
you don't let them fail, if you don't let them struggle, they are lost for the rest of their life.
yeah,
And if something happened to you, life is not going to come and bail them out. They have to have something within themselves that's built from within.
exactly. Yeah,
So those are the things that we have to instill in them. And struggle helps them to learn that. Failure helps them to learn that.
yeah,
Learning to lose at the game helps them to learn.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, so now let me ask you: are you taking clients? What are you doing? What are you working on? Are you? I know that you have so much, and and I really want to partner with you in something so that
Yes.
we can get you. Uh, you have so much to offer young families, young men, you and your wife together offering. You have so much that people can utilize, and so we need to tap into a little bit of that, even if it's just a podcast or something where you can nurture, because people need to know, that you can come through this and beautifully, and you can nurture your family and beautifully.
Most definitely. That's why I definitely want to get with you to
Yeah.
help me out with that. But that's for sure. Yeah. Because I'm currently not taking any clients. I'm not, but I definitely want to get together with you and
Yeah.
create that
Well,
podcast. I feel
I'm
like
in
I could be most
Chicago now.
effective.
I'm
You,
back in Chicago.
you bet. Oh, that's even better.
Yes.
That's even better. Even better. Yep. Absolutely.
Make sure that we create something, and I just really want to thank you for taking time, and even being interested enough to say, you know what, Mood, I really want to do this. However, can we shift the time so that I contribute? But I work nights, and it was like, hey, we made this up. We can shift.
Exactly. I like perfect response. I'm like, cool.
We created our own time anyway. We can do whatever time you say.
Yep.
So
Appreciate it.
I'm glad that that you really spoke into that like that.
Yes.
So I appreciate you. So as we come to a close, do you have any final words? Anything you want to leave the listening audience with? Anything?
Uh, One of the key things, what I've been speaking on pretty much all day, was just to get in tune with our kids, our children, our youth, and with each other. Talking more and that interaction with each other is definitely key. Even helped out with not just the kids, even with my own personal relationship with my wife. And just asking simply how your day going and little simple things like that. I picked up on that a lot more, and to show our connection and our bond even became stronger from doing that. We talk more of an engaging talk instead of random talk. She even to do it more. I tell her how work was going. I end up rambling about what was going on the construction site and tell her like, yeah, I was sitting there on the baker, and I had to get up on the baker and I had to put some metal studs up and tighten them up to the ceiling. So she'd say, oh yeah, dang, that's crazy, baby. So I'm like, you don't even know what a baker is. What's a baker?
That's what I was getting ready to say. What
You
is
know?
a
And she just said that, yeah, that's crazy. So, but it's cool because she's getting better at it. She was engaged into the conversation as possible. So she's like, no, I don't know what a baker, but a baker is like a mini scaffold. We lift it up, some for any raised platforms that we got to work on that's above 8, 10 feet. So we stack those up just a little ladder on the side and we able to lay on flat and work up there. So
oh,
that's
wow.
all the baker is. But she was just agreeing and agreeing and agreeing. I'm like, hey, do you know what a baker is? No. So like, so when you sitting there like, oh yeah, that's crazy. What's crazy about it? But it just talking, tune in, talk more interaction. And this helped us out. I was able to explain that to her. She get a little more interest into my construction activities and stuff. So she asked questions like, oh my God, I know you doing nothing dangerous like that. But now she knows, but it helps out. So like those one of the key things is those 3 T's. Tune in, talk more, take turns. We do that. I feel like it just during family time, it makes it effective family time. And it just helps build a strong bond, trust. There's somebody actually genuinely cares. And I definitely think it's effective. It's just for society as a whole and help us to even deal with others, outside of our family. So, and we all family, when it's all said and done. So,
We
like,
are
I feel like
family.
not a,
That's right.
yep.
I was when you were saying that, and I love that you said tune in, talk more, and take turns.
Yep.
That and that's all inside of communication, right?
Yeah.
One of my favorite books is called The Road Less Traveled by M. Scott Peck. And he talks about the power of love. And he says, I don't care how bad of a parent, how bad they are as parents, if they don't keep a clean house, if they don't cook, but if they love their children,
Hmm.
those children will become amazing adults, because what is real is love.
Exactly. Yeah.
Love cultivates so much within people, and people, they want to work all the time, but it's like, if the people around you don't feel loved, your working means absolutely nothing.
Nothing. Nothing. Yep.
Just because you bought them a Birkenback bed, somebody, what's that? What is that? Just because you buy them expensive clothes and name brands, and they have all the newest electronics, that's not love. And it does not take the place of love. And children don't know that until they get older, and they're trying to find love outside of themselves.
Hmm. Reach. Yep.
Right? So they're trying to find
Absolutely.
outside because they never connected. So if you're not connecting with your children, you giving them everything is not the answer. Tune in, talk more, and take turns. That means listen to them and their feedback. So I want to thank. Well, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, no, no, I said absolutely. That's definitely big help. That's perfect. And what I did want to throw in as far as some effective things to do during family time.
Yeah.
And one that was key with us, especially my wife, as far as with all of us and the boys, is to get outdoors, get
Yeah.
out in nature. Perfect, on for family time. It kind of it turned my wife into a different animal. She enjoys hiking and trails now. And just the activity you're able to, because we'll go outside and not pretty much do nothing when you go out there as a family. You go figure out something to do. There's a little picnic, y'all go play some type of activities or something. My kids love the outdoors, and it's not like how it was when I was growing up, where we'd go out, ride up to the park on our bikes and everything. It's not really the same. We don't feel comfortable with letting them, do that really. So we had taken them to the park ourselves with Forest Preserve and different stuff like that, little trail walks, and it helped big time with our family time. Another thing, homework sessions. My wife is different. My kids love to do homework with me. So a tactic I feel is useful, although she's the teacher, but my way of looking at it is to try a non-demanding approach and treat it like y'all almost kind of on the same level, y'all learning together.
Yes.
So that's what became effective with me. Kids love doing their homework with dad. So I act like, wait, so let's try this way. You think if we do it this way, and we probably put this on top and put this one on bottom, what we'll come up with? And like, no, I don't think that'll work, Dad. What? Let's try it. We try. Oh, we did get it right. Stuff like that. Although I know this the right way, but it's not demanding. We on the same level. We learning together. And that's how they get it done. And I be sitting there looking like, all right, I guess that did work. Yeah, my tricks work. Instead of no, look what I'm doing. This is it. Man, they can't do it that way. I know you're the teacher, but you got all the right way. Try it this way. We both don't know. Let's figure this out together. We got it. So those are other things I use for family time, and that
Yeah.
help out. So now,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. And I'm glad you said that about outdoors, because you know, I didn't grow up camping, but one day I was like, hey, we going camping, and went and bought the tent, all the stuff for the camping. And, we went camping out in the, forest preserve. We just went, found a camping spot, took our little, had our little stuff, did some reading on stuff and went camping. Then the next time, it was like, okay, we going camping and canoeing. And this time we invited my nieces and nephews, and we went with another set of people that actually knew how to camp and canoe, because that's the thing. If you don't know how to do something, you go hook up with somebody
Exactly. Yeah.
and be willing to learn. And so I took my nieces and nephews camping and canoeing, and make sure you had this, make sure you had this, make sure, But that way, and so then the next time we want to go camping, everybody had all that stuff, you know,
Right.
and everybody knows that I love hiking. I've hiked all over the world simply because it's being in nature. I've
Yeah.
had some of my greatest insights being in nature, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't think she said don't forget to give your number three. What's number three? Oh, we did number three. Wait a minute. What she said? I'm trying to see where you looking, Keisha. But we
Number three.
did, yeah. Few of the ways you recommend. Yeah, we just did. Oh, maybe that's what you were just answering. Number
What
three.
was it? I'm sorry.
That's the producer. So I think we got through most of them, Keisha. What are some of the things that you do with your family that includes everyone? So that was, yeah, we just went through some of that, and the examples of doing the homework and being out in nature. So, I'm sorry. You said you had 3 points.
Oh yeah, I did. Yep, I'm sorry. Yep, and that was watch or play sports together. So with my boys, that was like I said, I never wanted to force them into what I enjoyed and what I loved doing, which was wrestling and boxing. So I I, I will watch it with them, and I attempt to play certain sports together. So some of my kids gain interest from watching the sports. Some gain interest from trying some, but what that did do was show what they didn't like. So a couple of them they definitely don't want to wrestle. I got some that want to box, whatever. But it was effective for me, and that was my way of engaging doing family time with them. Doing that, we'd sit down and even watch a
Is that
baseball game.
how is that how the oldest one got involved with lacrosse by watching it first, or?
That's exactly how I got involved with lacrosse. Yep. But he did that on his own. I didn't even introduce him to it. He was watching it was football, and that kind of it led him to that. And that's how he found out about lacrosse. Yeah.
That is wonderful. We have such an amazing producer. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, thank you, thank you. She's so amazing.
Yes, thank you, Keisha.
Yes. And so I want everyone to remember we have 2 more nights. We just finished number 4. Yes. And we have 2 more nights. Thursday night, we're going to be talking about matters of self education. And you can tell that many of our speakers kind of hinted on some of that this week. So tune in tomorrow with Alanda and Yatunde. And then on Friday, we're going to be talking about community service. What does that look like as a family creating the prospect or the possibility of community service? So be sure to tune in with us with Dr. Sanji, Hannah Bakir, and it was one more. Tune in on Friday so you can see who it is.
Thank you.
So, that's Bree. Yeah, yes, Tabrisha Randolph. That's who it is. Tabrisha is going to join us. So we'll have 3 panelists on Friday. So once again, Robert, thank you so much, and thank
Yes,
you,
yes.
family,
Thank you all.
for time to do this. And make sure you share it wide so that your people can see what you're about, what you're up to. Okay.
Absolutely, we'll do.
All
Thank
right,
you
and
much.
we'll be in touch. All right. Good night, everybody. See you tomorrow.
All right,
Thank
talk
you.
soon.
All right.